Hey y'all, I'm Ashlyn.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Marla, and this is Lecturin Ladies. So, last week we talked about Hatshepsut, who was an ancient Egyptian pharaoh, and I wanted to move forward in time a little bit. So, I ended up with a woman named Queen Tomyris, who is known as the Head-Defiling Warrior Queen, which is probably
Love
about
her
the coolest
already.
title.
Love her already.
That's better than Xena. Like,
Yes! And this woman was real. It's a really cool story. I'm excited. So, Tomyris was born approximately 570 BC. We don't know exactly. Her name literally means brave. And Tomyris is
we
kind
need
of like
to
the
get
Greek
back to that, by the
interpretation.
way. Like, naming kids what you want them to be.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, people kind of do it sometimes, like, oh, what's the meaning of this? But it just depends. I didn't do it for either of my kids because I don't care. I forget what I think my name means like gift from God or from some shit, so it's fake.
my name's Dainty, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
anyway, her name meant brave. Carry on.
yes,
Sorry.
Tomyris was in fact brave. And that, like I said, it's like a Greek interpretation of her name. Apparently she has several versions, but another full name she had was Tomyris. And she was the leader of the Masagate people, who were a subgroup of the larger Scythian people. And in the world, so this is like Middle Eastern, in like 570 BC, the first Persian Empire is just starting. So that's like our setting. The Scythian peoples at large, and specifically the Masagate, were a nomadic pastoral people living in, like I said, Central Asia. So in a current map, it'd be like southern Kazakhstan, eastern Uzbekistan. It's like north of Afghanistan, east of the Caspian Sea. Like right there is where their nomadic, region was. Side note, nomadic pastoralism, for those who don't know, it's essentially peoples that live off of their herds of livestock, and they're traveling around on a pretty similar path, like over and over, as opposed to just a regular nomadic people or hunter-gatherers that don't have livestock. So like cows, goats, yaks, sheep. Think of the Mongols. The Mongols were a good example of a nomadic pastoral society. So, side note also about the Masakate people. So you know how in ancient Japan they would carry the elders like out into the woods when they got too old to kind of contribute to society?
Yes.
Oh. Or stop contributing?
Yes.
Yeah, basically.
Death panels before it was cool.
Sarah Palin thought she started something. No. So the Masakate people didn't want to carry their elders into the woods because, that's kind of fucked. But instead, they, in their pursuit to maintain their culture, apparently is the reason, would pick the healthiest elders in their communities, and once it was their time, they would sacrifice them and eat them to, I guess...
Do you get their wisdom?
I was about to say a lot of people. Like, I know that's common in like cannibalistic society.
Like you get their characteristics when you eat them or something. Yeah. Like some people believe that. We don't eat people on this podcast that I know of.
Don't encourage.
I strictly eat animals. Though.
Yeah.
Marla doesn't even.
We don't even eat plants.
Enough for both of them.
Yeah, me and Ashlyn just eat animals. Marla just eats plants.
It's all balanced.
But no humans, we promise. Yeah, and like the sick or the weak elders were buried and weren't,
because they're not worth those characteristics.
Society,
so just bury them.
Yeah, we don't want to eat them. We don't want any of those energies in our bodies. So, anyways. So Tomyris grew up pretty well. She was trained in weaponry and diplomacy and all that stuff. She ended up marrying the king, obviously, which is why she was the queen. And at some point, she became widowed. I couldn't find exactly what had happened to her husband. I didn't see anything about it being her. I think he just probably was, either natural causes or, battle. Who knows?
Or she was very smart.
Or she was very smart, and she certainly does not take any shit, so maybe he pissed her off one day. I have no idea. I'm just saying. She somehow became widowed with one son. Her son's name was Spargapaces, which is definitely the Greek interpretation of his name. I couldn't find his, given name anywhere, but that's one of the problems with history, is that it's never exactly accurate because it's told from a different perspective.
And men.
Most of the time. And men, and the winners, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So her son grows up, he becomes the head of her army. Meanwhile, she's leading the people, they're doing fine. Like I said, they're nomadic, so they're traveling around their region, but they are strong. So meanwhile, Cyrus the Great is building his empire. He was the founder of the Achaemenid Empire, which is the first Persian Empire, and these bitches are huge. The Persian Empire is not, I think it's like 11th largest empire in history, something like that.
Oh, you mean like size-wise? I thought you meant like the actual people were like in
like size-wise, and very technically sound here. All that purple is his empire. He built it.
He was like the Russia of empires.
Yeah, basically it stretched, for those listening, from like Greece down into Egypt. The Persians eventually took over Egypt, most of the Middle East, all the way up around over into India. But right above that is the Scythians, which the Massagetæ were part of. So he sets his eyes north. He sees that Tomyris is a still grieving queen. He thinks that she's going to do something foolish, or she'll be weak, distracted because she recently lost her husband. He's like, all right, I'm going to go get that area and conquer that. And
done fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
I can just tell you right now, that ain't going to work out well for you, buddy.
And he wins the end. No.
Great story, Marla. Thank you.
For a minute. So she gets word that he is eyeballing up her people and her land, and she sends him a message. And it's I found Herodotus wrote a lot of this story, so I read part of his account, and his quote that she supposedly sent to Cyrus the Great: "King of the Medes, cease to press this enterprise, for you cannot know if what you are doing will be of real advantage to you. Be content to rule in peace your own kingdom, and bear to see us reign over the countries that are ours to govern. As, however, I know you will not choose to hearken to this counsel, since there is nothing you less desire than peace and quietness. Come now, if you are so mightily desirous of meeting the Massagetæ in arms, leave your useless toil of bridge making. Let us retire 3 days' march from the riverbank, and do you come across with your soldiers, or if you like, better, to give us battle on your side of the stream, retire yourself an equal distance." Essentially saying, I'm going to take my people there, fuck around and find out if you cross my stream. If you want me to come to you, you let me know.
Your place or mine, we doing this.
She's saying, I'm going to throw hands. You're going to find out one way or another. Either you keep your ass over on that side of the river, or I'm coming to get you if you don't cut your shit. So Cyrus, of course, doesn't take heed of her warning.
I kind of want Herodotus to write my life story. Like, it would sound so much better.
Yeah, not even near as, yeah.
And he lived about 100 years after she did. So it's fairly recent account, and it's what the historians consider like the most accurate from her side of the story, at least. So Cyrus, like I said, of course, goes north. And the first attack, in quotations, was successful. The Persians set up a camp, and they set up a huge banquet that they partake in, the Massagattai people, and her son, Spargapaces, like I said, is the head of the army. They're watching the, They're watching them have that banquet and everything, and then the Persians leave all the food and drink behind, specifically the wine, which
Did they poison the wine?
That's what I'm thinking. Oh, damn.
Cyrus was actually, I don't want to say he was a good conqueror because that's kind of an oxymoron, but he was not ruthless, I guess. He was known for letting the peoples he conquered keep their religion. He wouldn't do more killing than is necessary, in big quotations. Like, he's still conquering people that aren't his, but that's, it's a nuance.
But as far as conquerors go, he's pretty nice about it. Okay.
That's a good way to put it. As far as conquerors go, he was no Cortez. So they leave this wine behind. And so Spargapaces and all his people are not used to wine. The strongest drinks they have is like fermented milk from the herds that they have. So they drink the wine and, of course, become incapacitated. And that's when the Persians pounce. They take mostly prisoners. Only a few people who fought back were killed. Spargapaces is one of the people who are captured. And apparently,
that really isn't that mean if, like, you just get them drunk and take them prisoner versus murdering them all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, Cyrus, as far as conquerors go, he was strategic, and his plan was to intimidate and take over that way. He didn't want to go through and, raise and salt the earth. But
gotcha.
So he takes her son captive.
I was about to say he's no Sherman, but I don't know. This podcast is nationwide, so. Anyway, continue.
So Spargapaces is taken to Cyrus, and Cyrus basically tells him, I'm going to let you live. I'm just trying to get your mother to give in, essentially. Spargapaces convinces him at some point to release him from his bonds, and when Cyrus does, he commits suicide. So he's like, I'm not staying your prisoner, so fuck you, and kills himself.
I'm also not going back to my mommy.
Or you could look at it as, I'm not staying your prisoner, and also I don't want my mom to have to come give up to get me back, so I'm just not going to be.
That's true. I'm not going to be your bait either.
Yes, I'm not going to be a piece. What are you? A pawn.
A pawn.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's
so we're inside his head now. We know what he thought.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously. We're, psych people.
Yeah.
So, turning the page. According to Herodotus' account, after this, the word gets back to Tomyris about what happened. She sends Cyrus a message saying that essentially she's taken over command of her military again. She's going to come get his ass her damn self. Nope. The quote is as follows. You bloodthirsty Cyrus, pride not yourself on this poor success. It was the grape juice, which when you drink it makes you so mad, and as you swallow it down, brings up to your lips such bold and wicked words. It was the poison by which you ensnared my child, and so overcame him, not in fair and open fight. Now hear what I advise, and be sure I advise you for your good. Restore my son to me, and get you from the land unharmed, triumphant, over a third part of the host of the Massagattai.
But you can't restore her son. Her son is dead.
Maybe she doesn't know that.
Well,
she finds out after that.
News travels really slow back then.
That's true. I mean, they had to make a guy run like 26 miles.
Exactly.
Well, because she said you ensnared my child. Although at this point, she might not know he's dead. She might just think he's still captured.
Prisoner.
But she says, refuse, and I swear by the sun, the sovereign lord of the Massagattai, bloodthirsty as you are, I will give you your fill of blood.
Ooh.
I love her quote.
Love this bitch. Put that on a mug.
I was going to say, put that on a t-shirt.
Oh my God. So in the fight that ensues, it's approximately 530 BC by now. So she's only, 40 years old? Yeah, about 40 years old at this point. The Massagetæ get the upper hand. They're ruthless. They are fighting for their queen that they love. And the Persians are defeated, which is crazy ridiculous because the Persians are the most powerful, empire in the world at this point, except for possibly the Egyptians. I'm not sure exactly. But they definitely would go on to conquer the Egyptians. Cyrus's great-great-grandson, side note, is Xerxes, who is the Persian king who defeated the Spartans.
Gotcha. 300.
Which is cool.
That's what I was thinking of, that movie.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a strong bloodline. It's a really strong empire. And I don't know, did he only take, so many men? Was there not enough of a company there? What?
Yeah, was he I would only need, this many guys, but really he needed, a fuck ton of guys,
Or were they too organized and they weren't ready for a pastoral nomadic army to come at them, possibly guerrilla style? I don't know. I wish we had a really...
Had he never fought a mother who just lost her son? Because that's a whole level of crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 2 kids. Ash, you have 2 kids. Finding an army and marching on somebody is...
Yeah, let's go.
It's pretty reasonable, I think. So the Persians are defeated. At some point in the battle, Cyrus is killed. I can't find if she was actually the one to kill him. Probably not. But that would have been so fucking cool.
In my head, she is.
Yeah, there's an epic sword battle.
I think if there was a movie version of this, she would also be the one. Yeah.
So Cyrus is killed, and his corpse is brought to her. She orders that his corpse be beheaded, and then his body crucified. She then
here comes the head-defiling thing? Is this where it comes in?
Yeah. She took the head of his corpse, shoved it into a wineskin filled with human blood, and is reportedly quoted as saying, "I live and have conquered you in fight, and yet by you am I ruined, for you took my son with guile. But thus I make good on my threat, and give you your fill of blood."
Oh.
Float your head in a fucking bitch.
There's an artist depiction. There's a book I found... This guy, it's called Rejected Princesses, and it's the story of true badass women that wouldn't be Disney princesses, and this is the picture that he has for her.
Fuck yes.
A goblet of blood being poured into the wineskin.
Pouring blood onto his head in the wineskin sack, and it's amazing.
I want to be her for Halloween.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Fuck Elsa.
Seriously.
Listen, got shit on this. There are a number of other...
We do not let anything go.
You killed my son, I'm not letting it go. But, of course, other people are going to be like, no, Cyrus the Great wasn't killed by a woman. He, got sick and died. Because there's no, one source isn't accurate as far as historians can say. The last, 10 years of his life are kind of shrouded in mystery. We don't know exactly what happened. And I think if this is true, it's because they don't want the word getting out.
Yeah.
So
I know what I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of references to Tomyris throughout history. In Shakespeare's play King Henry, one of the countesses, I don't fucking know. I don't like Shakespeare. But one of them is quoted saying, "The plot is laid, if all things fall out right, I shall as famous be by this exploit as Scythian Tomyris by Cyrus's death." And there also was a movie made about her actually in 2019. It came out in Kazakhstan, and there's an American company that has rights to it, but I couldn't find where I could actually buy it because it sounds like it would be awesome. But if I do find it, I will send you guys the link. Also, if you guys have heard
of from Kazakhstan,
Borat,
yeah,
it's north of Afghanistan, not directly north, but up a little bit.
There's also an episode of that Netflix show about the games that are from different countries.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Like they have that weird Italian game. But it's in like the native languages, so you have to read like the subtitles. It's really good.
I always use subtitles anyway.
But it's like these different games that like are not popular in America. I'll have to find the title of it so you can tweet it out with this. But anyway, one of the episodes is about Kazakhstan. And so when you talk about the nomadic pastoral, like they're all still like cattle farmers.
Yeah.
And so their game has to do with like, it's almost like polo, but it's on cattle. It's interesting.
I got to see that.
How do you get cattle to do anything? Anyways, okay.
Maybe it's horses and then it's like a cow's head they throw in and not a ball. There's something to do with cattle.
It's very different.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, also in the game Civilization 6, if anyone listening is a gamer, I've never played any of the Civ games, but I hear they're amazing. Tomyris leads the Scythian people in that game. It came out in 2016. And apparently is a Washington, D.C. based female-fronted heavy metal band called A Sound of Thunder, which I'm definitely going to have to look up.
Yeah.
They have a song titled Tomyris based on her, and it was on their 6th full-length album called It Was Metal, and that was released in 2018. So I don't think I've ever heard of her, but she's definitely not lost to history.
Right.
So I thought she would be a great example of, this bitch was awesome. Can we please learn more about her?
I want to see what she looks like in the video game. I want to see, like, can I cosplay her?
She looks very white in the video game, and a lot of the depictions, like I said, Greek.
She wouldn't be.
And and I actually looked into this because I was really confused and interested. But the Scythian people were a pretty diverse peoples. Like, it's not just, even though they were in the Middle East, it was still, there was a range of skin tones. There were some reports that some of them had red hair, and I'm sure like there's a lot of mingling of like outsider blood and that kind of stuff. But essentially the Scythians and the Persians throughout their reign, I guess, changed what peoples qualified as Scythians. So like in 1920s America, Irish and Italians weren't considered white, but now they are.
Right.
So the Scythians, like, it's kind of an amorphous term, and I think that's partially why it's so broad, but no one knows, or at least there's no depictions that I could find. I guess I shouldn't say no one knows. I couldn't find any depictions that were stated as being like, yes, this is what she looked like, but a lot of pictures of her, she's a very pale-skinned, but who knows?
But so is Jesus in a lot of his
pictures.
Obviously
Jesus was white. He was born in the Middle East. Duh.
Yeah, bless their hearts. Man. This is doable. I found one. I mean, I don't know if it's accurate, but you are right. They're all.
Well, you have that rejected princess's picture as well.
Yeah,
there's a
his
couple.
depiction. He said, "I purposefully made her darker skin because so many of them are lighter skin, and I just feel like this is what she would look like." And according, he looked into the historical accuracies and such. So
yeah, I feel like that's super accurate. There's another like cartoon type depiction of her that doesn't look anything like. She almost looks like Irish. She's got like very, very, very light features.
Yeah, and some of the pictures I saw, they almost looked like Renaissance paintings.
Yeah, that's a lot of what I'm seeing.
They actually probably were Renaissance paintings now that I think about it. But, still, it was that very classic, like, Baroque oval style. But very interesting. Cool. She's very awesome.
Yeah.
Fuck around and find out, and he did.
That's the best. She was literally like, I mean, you can come here or I can come there, but we're going to do this, so you just let me know.
Yeah. Like, you think just because I lost my husband that I'm going to fall at your feet and let you take over my people?
A whole bunch of free time. Like, I don't have a husband now. I got shit to do. Come on.
I don't got to pick up wet towels from the floor.
Exactly. Like, I got a full ass amount of free time.
Back where they go.
I don't have to repeat myself. Look at me go.
How much time we would save in a day.
Oh, sorry. This is not
a man bashing pod. But anyways.
But also she did chop his head off and put it in a wineskin full of blood.
That's amazing.
This is a man who kills another woman's son, bashing pod. So
He completely deserved it.
Yes.
yeah, and he was still a conqueror. So
I mean, he crossed the stream.
Yeah.
literally crossed not the Rubicon, but there was no going back for you anyway, buddy.
None.
So that is Tomyris, the head-defiling queen.
This was awesome.
Yes. And I think I'm going to keep on this timeline. So if there's anyone in like the 1100s or like past this period of time that I should do, I got a suggestion for Eleanor of Aquitaine, who I know is definitely a badass. So she might be coming later or possibly next week, depending on who I choose. So look forward to that. And thank you guys so much for listening. And we will see you next Friday.
See ya. Bye.